Karl MJB3 mask aligner. I have a 4-inch square mask. So the mask holder holds the mask on the vacuum. Place it approximately in the center of the opening and turn on the mask vacuum, and the mask is held. Slide it in the mask holder area and tighten the mask frame holder knobs on the front. This is a standard chuck. It doesn't come with a seal. This is for standard mode operation of the mask aligner. There's a vacuum chuck which has a sealing gasket on the edge, which will generate the contact vacuum in HP mode, which is high precision mode. And by turning on the vacuum chamber, the gap between the mask and the substrate will be also held on the vacuum. So I'm going to use a standard the substrate holder, and there's a notch to be aligned with. Place it on the substrate holder place, and then place the substrate on the substrate holder, slide it in, and there's a lever to lift the substrate up, and once we rotate it all the way 180 degrees, the substrate will come in contact with the mask. And at this moment, in order to proceed with aligning the alignment patterns, use the separation lever and slide it to the front of the machine. And now the separation lamp will turn on, and now viewing through the microscope, you have to adjust the y-axis, x-axis, and theta knobs so that the patterns are aligned. This system comes with 4 objectives, from 5x to 32x magnification, and there's a microscope illuminator which can be adjusted for the brightness. Also there is a brightness of the opening, the illumination aperture here, and this will enable to adjust the brightness of the image adequately. Once the alignment is over, slide the separation lever back to the contact position, and at this moment press expose button. So the tower comes front and the exposure starts. The exposure will last as long as the duration set on the timer module in the front here. The system lamp housing is also purged with dry nitrogen, and there is a nitrogen flow meter and a switch here. In case of loss of nitrogen, the nitrogen loss lamp will turn on, and it will indicate that there is no nitrogen, which is also used to purge the lamp electrode. These are the pneumatic control knobs here. The 4 bar is about 60 psi, and 2 to 3 bar about 30 psi, and 1 bar which is 14 psi nitrogen. First 2 are compressed air, and there is a vacuum gauge here which indicates the vacuum level. It should be around approximately 20 to 25 inches mercury level. Now once the set duration is up, the shutter will close and the tower will go back. Now at this moment we can change the substrate. So use the lever. I'm going to use the HP mode, and so I have to change the substrate holder. I'm changing it, and then now I'm going to place the substrate. So place the substrate approximately at the center of the chuck. This is a 3-inch substrate holder, and then using the lever lift up the substrate. So at this point, press the HP mode button and vacuum chamber. Now this shows the vacuum in between the substrate and the mask, and which is adjustable by this needle valve here. So depending on how hard contact you need, you have to adjust it, and once that is adjusted and after the alignment, press the expose button. The tower will come forward. The constant intensity power supply, which can be used for various lamps. Currently I am using a 350 watts mercury lamp, and I'm running it in constant power mode, and we can set the constant power to the desired level by using the up and down arrow keys. And once set, you can press the button again. So now the power level is 280 watts. It's also possible to operate this machine in constant intensity mode. There are 2 detectors inside the lamp housing, and CI1 can be used to calibrate the detector 1, and CI2 to calibrate the detector 2. The constant intensity is displayed only when the shutter is open. Right now it is displaying the intensity. Also, the second one also is displayed. So before operating the system, these intensity detectors levels are to be calibrated to match an external meter, and once they are done, any desired intensity level with respect to a calibrated detector can be obtained using this system. The microscope manipulator has 2 switches on the arm. By pressing those 2 buttons, we can move it in both X and Y direction. The upper one allows the movement in the Y direction, the lower one in X direction, and once you release it, the microscope is located and locked in one position. These are the lamp position adjustment knobs, and these knobs are to locate the arc at the focus of the ellipsoid reflector inside the lamp housing. So I have here 2 Karl's UV intensity meters, one rated for 365 nanometer, another one 405. Usually The bandwidth is about plus minus 5 nanometers. So my meter, the detector at the side of the wafer is detecting about 14.1 milliwatt per centimeter square, 365 nanometers, which tallies with the CI2 channel, which I label 365 nanometer. Also, now the 405 nanometers is about 27 milliwatt per centimeter square. It tallies with the CI1 channel. Now, in case the readings need to be fine-tuned, the black cap, which is right under the label here, should be open, and a metric Allen key of 2 millimeters is to be used to adjust the shutter in front of the detector. So there is a 365 nanometers side is on the left hand side, and 405 nanometers is on the right hand side. Now, if I want to operate it at the constant intensity mode, which is set at 15 milliwatts, so the intensity adjusted by itself by just pressing the CI2 button. And if I want to run it at CI1 intensity level, which is set by holding and pressing CI1 for 3 seconds, now it is 30 milliwatt, so the detector is right now at about 30 milliwatt. We can change it by changing it set value. When it is indicating set level, you can use the up and down arrow keys to set the energy level. So the correspondingly the reading changes. Depending on the detector location, the reading will be slightly off within 2 to 3% over the entire area of exposure. There is a power outlet on the system which is interlocked to the nitrogen flow, and this is the power inlet, 110 volts going to the system, and the outlet can be connected to the lamp power supply so that in case of nitrogen loss, the power supply will turn on. It's an optional inlet and outlet, and the power supply can be directly connected to the 110 volt source. This system will not include the vacuum pump,